All right. I hope by telling you all that I'm very nervous is going to help settle me down. I do this all day long and I don't know why, but I'm so very nervous. So anyways, as all of you know, I'm Staci Russell. Together with Bill, we started CrossFit Cleveland back in 2007. And we believe the foundation of a healthy lifestyle starts with 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, a solid meal plan, and then everything else goes above that. So your exercise, your stress management, your mindset, all of those things are above the sleep and the nutrition. So we really focus on that. I am very excited to talk to you today about food because I love food. And I don't think that meal prep needs to be complicated, expensive, or boring. So I'm pretty excited about this. So thanks for coming. And I know you're here because you have an obvious interest in meal prep, but I'm going to answer the question, why should I meal prep? And one of the reasons I think is, number one, it sets you up for success. And number two, there's just no reason not to make a good choice if you have healthy food choices at hand. And I know you guys all know what I'm talking about. It's been a long day, you're not prepared, you just don't feel like cooking, you forgot to take your chicken out of the freezer to cook for dinner, and the next thing you know, you are eating pizza, right? So we're gonna not let that happen by doing this. I will tell you that food prep does take some time and getting used to and a little bit of effort. It's not, over time, it just becomes second nature, but it truly does take a little bit of time. There is no right or wrong way to meal prep. I'm going to give you things, I'm sure somebody out there is going to go, oh, she's wrong. But I'm going to tell you the only right way to prep is what fits you and your lifestyle, because that's the only thing that really matters. So I will tell you that, like, in my mind, there's two distinct ways to actually meal prep. One is like what we do, where we bulk prep all kinds of food so that we can easily pull in and out of the refrigerator different meals, so that, I always say, well, I don't know what I'm going to want for lunch on Wednesday. Well, if I have all the different foods in there, I can pull and make different meals out of the food that's already cooked. On the other hand, that fits my lifestyle. So if you have that kind of lifestyle where you need to be able to pull something out in the morning to go and it's already done, that's what I call like container, to be putting your food together in meal containers when you cook, so that it's really easy. Here's my breakfast, here's my lunch, here's my snack, here's my dinner, or dinner's going to be something at home later. So those are the two big differences I see in meal prep. I will tell you that containers, and I have a bunch of containers here. These, I don't know if you can see, but this is the three different containers. These are nice because you can have your vegetables, your protein, your starchy carbs. It's already done. It doesn't mix the foods. So if it's, it keeps all the food separate for those of you who don't like your foods touching me. But there's also like 2 compartment containers. Again, I don't know if you can see these. And these I love, you get these from your carryouts, or you can buy them as well. You can get fancy. There's glasses. Some people don't want to use plastic. I like these because they hold up, and when they're done, I toss them. But they do have, fancier ones that you can use. And then again, finding what works for you. These little round ones I like for soups and stews, chili. Overnight oats is really easy. So finding the containers that work for you is also part of this. All right, so let's talk about the food. So I like to start by thinking about breakfast. I find that if I have that healthy breakfast all week, it's going to be the same meal all week. That's the foundation of my day. And you can look on Pinterest, you can Google. If you need inspiration, our website, which is crossfitcleveland.com/recipes, has all kinds of recipes from Healthy Steps Nutrition. And those are already listed for you in breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So that makes it super easy to see a lot of different recipes right at your fingertips. So you want to think about, like, for breakfast, making it easy, overnight oats, steel cut oats with some steel cut oats are easy. Egg bakes, you hear about people talking about like egg muffins. So I used to do that all the time, right? I made those egg muffins and they're awesome, but I also found it was very time consuming for me. So I just make it in a 9x13 pan. But you might, if you have kids or you want to do it in those already pre-done, that's cool. It's up to you. But I just make it into my big pan. It's a great way to get your vegetables in, which I often hear like, really, you want me to eat vegetables for breakfast? Yep, I do. But this is an egg bake is a really easy way. You can follow a recipe or just put in whatever vegetables you like or whatever you have on hand, whatever's going with your other food. So that's a really easy way to get breakfast in. And once it's cooled, you're going to cut it and portion it and put it in your containers. All right, so there's breakfast. Then I like to start with protein and building my week around the protein. So if you have your meals already that you're going to do, those are going to be your meals and you're going to follow those recipes. If you're doing a bulk cooking like we do, I like to think about lots of protein choices so that I don't get bored. Staples in our house, grilled chicken, pork tenderloin, hard-boiled eggs, if you can get them peeled. I'm just kidding, Lynn, that was for you. Those are all easy. Fish, ground chicken, or turkey are really easy and versatile. And I'll get into that in a little bit about how you can take one kind of protein and make several different meals out of it. So you want to pick your staple proteins. Don't be shy. Protein is really good for you. So yeah, just get those proteins in. Those are also the most difficult. Say you needed to go out for lunch, right? And you're going into a grocery store, you can easily make a salad at a grocery store. You know, I think most of the salad bars are back, but it's easy to find those kinds of things. And it's not so easy to find a healthy protein. So if you have your proteins, you can go to the store, you can buy a bag of lettuce or whatever. And that's number one, it's not going to be nearly as expensive as the protein, but you also know that your protein source is a good one. So protein is key. The next thing I like to look at is my starchy carbs, meaning sweet potatoes, quinoa, barley, whole grain rice, those kinds of things. Oh, I forgot to tell you, like one of the other things about proteins, I'm going back to protein. You know what? Say you tell me you don't want to cook. That's not going to happen. I don't have the time. Or maybe it's just a particular week. Go pick up a rotisserie chicken, open some cans of tuna, boil some eggs. Those are all easy things that you don't even have to do. All you have to do is go buy them. Okay. And that goes back into the carbs. I know a lot of Costco, they have, you know, a brown rice and quinoa already made. All you have to do is open those up. If you don't want to be in the kitchen, there's plenty of places that you can go without having to cook. Personally, I like to know what's coming out of my kitchen. It's always going to be less sodium and obviously the more healthy of the choices, but sometimes life throws a little wrench and you need to do those kinds of things. So you can still get healthy options. So once we have our starchy carbs, you want to start thinking about your vegetables. Lots of vegetables. You can't overeat your vegetables, right? So if you have a recipe that you're following, those are obviously going to be the vegetables in your recipe. If you're just not sure, I like to go to the grocery store and kind of see what looks good to me on that particular day, or I kind of have my staples that I like, you know, roasted cauliflower, roasted broccoli, but whatever's in season, you know, especially for us that live in the north, or our north Midwest, I guess is where we are. I don't even know where I live these days. Anyways, find what's in season because they're going to be the freshest, right? In the summer, it's super easy, but find what's in season. Say the zucchini looks good for you. Awesome. Whatever the vegetables you are, you're going to want to buy them. If you like peppers, if you don't like them and a recipe calls for them, leave them out. All right. It's you don't have to follow a recipe, so to speak, but don't be shy on your vegetables. I'm a big fan of having, I like romaine lettuce. So I buy the romaine lettuce, I keep it in my refrigerator, I clean it, and I spin it, and it's already in the refrigerator ready to go. But again, if that's not your thing and you want to buy some of those, they have those little containers that you can buy. They're already done. Easy way to make a salad, already done. I like to mix the two, actually, whatever it is you like, but those are easy ways. And now it's already cleaned and ready to go. In my house, that's another one of our staples. All right. So I feel like I need to take a breath here and slow down. Now we have our food. We know what we're cooking. We have an idea for that week. We're going to go to the grocery store. But before we do that, you want to make a list. Number one, don't go to the grocery store hungry. That's a bad idea. And number two, having a list is important to me. And I like to make my list the way the store is laid out. So I think most grocery stores are laid out this way, but the produce is first. And then if you're walking the perimeter, which is where we want to be because there's no oopsies there. But I can tick off my list so I know I'm getting everything I need versus my list being all over. So I make the list in order and I can be checking it off. The other thing about the grocery store, and I'm sure it happens to all of us, I know it happens to me, is I find stuff in my cart that wasn't on my list. Either I'm hungry or I don't know, the way they put things on the shelves, they do it on purpose. Something might jump into my cart. You don't have to buy it. All right. So you're walking by the aisle, it jumps in your cart, you're at the cashier. Those cashiers think nothing of you putting something saying, I don't want this. They would much rather you do that than putting it on a random shelf as you're going along going, what did I do here? Nobody cares. Put that item back. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 5, whatever it is. Save yourself the money. Save yourself the whatever. Just put it back. Stick to the list. All right, now we're home and we've got to start prepping. Again, no right way or wrong way, but that food's not going to cook itself. So we're going to have to prepare it. So to do that, again, several options. I personally have I always start by Wednesday or Thursday thinking about what am I going to make. By Friday, I'm already shopped. And sometimes I'll come home and prep it and getting ready for some of my meals. Sometimes it'll wait until I have the time. It'll depend on what Bill and I are doing that weekend. If I want to cook all at one time, or maybe I'll make my egg bake on Friday evening. Woohoo, I said we're fun, but here we are cooking on Friday night. I might divide it up. So however you want to do that, but I do recommend getting like those vegetables cut up. So say you're going to just do some of it. Come home, get those vegetables washed, get them cut up. Let's say you're making an egg bake, okay? And you're also using red peppers for your snacks. Again, I'm going to jump back because I just thought of snacks. They actually make snack size containers, like those 3-portion ones. So you can do those snacks as well. Always thinking about a balanced snack, not one of those protein bars that jumps off the shelf at you. So we're cleaning our vegetables and I'm cutting up some that I want to be diced. And then maybe my peppers I want in those like julienne strips. So I'm going to cut up all the peppers at once because I'm already cutting them, even though I'm going to have some diced, I'm going to have some julienne. However, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. And the other thing I'm a big fan of is not using too many dishes. So that same cutting board with my vegetables, I don't have any meat on it or anything. I can use that same cutting board again and again and again for my vegetables. I don't have to keep washing everything. So putting that all together, the other thing you want to think about when you're picking what you're making is, say there's a crock pot recipe that looks good to you. Excuse me. You don't want to pick out 2 crock pot recipes in the same week because that crock pot is going to take up time. So thinking about if I have an egg bake in the oven, I'm grilling my chicken, and my crock pot is going, it's all simultaneously going so that you can pull it all together versus I'm going to do this meal and then this meal and then this meal. Utilize your kitchen so that it's all working at one time. I hope that makes some sense to you. I'm flying through this. It took me all day, but here I am flying through it. So let's talk about variety. I told you earlier. So one of the easiest things to do is chicken. If you make a crock pot chicken, just plain old chicken, you can bake it, but pulled chicken, you can then use that very plain chicken. So say on Monday, you're putting your lunch together, throw a little barbecue sauce on there. Maybe you're going to have fajitas one day. You're taking your same plain chicken and you're dressing it different ways. You can make chicken salad. You can make tacos out of it. You can make a chicken wrap out of it. It's all the same protein. You're just mixing and matching your flavors. So that also goes for like ground chicken or ground turkey. You can dress that any way you want. You can eat it plain.
My video froze. Did anybody else's?
I like to sometimes put that in a vegetable soup. So you can do a lot with the same. I hope not. Anybody else froze?
Oh, Staci's froze. We're on the same internet.
Yeah, you froze for a second, but now you're back.
Just give it a minute. There we go. You're back. Staci froze for a few. So
am I good?
Yeah, you're good now, but I don't know what we missed. You might want to
go back a page.
Hit your rewind button 20 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. I was talking about
it really was only about 10-15 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think I was talking about the versatility of the chicken. Yeah. So you can take that plain chicken, you can eat it plain, you can dress it up, like add some taco seasoning to it. You can make a chicken salad out of it. You can make a wrap out of it. You can put some barbecue sauce on it. So now you've taken your very boring plain chicken and you've dressed it up. You have a lot of variety in 1 week with that one simple protein. I know this is a lot of information for you. Seems like it went really quick. You should be excited about your food. This will become second nature. Remember too, if you're cutting up vegetables, that cucumber in the refrigerator, do you know how many cucumbers I throw out because I didn't cut them up? If I cut them up, I eat them, right? They make a great snack at night. You can, well, you know, if you're having a snack at night, instead of having ice cream or chips or something, have some cucumbers. It doesn't have to be hard or complicated. I think that's really all I had. This is truly the basics. But does anybody have any specific questions?
Yeah, I did just put it in the chat because I saw Bill walking away. I didn't know if he was monitoring it, but what advice do you have for things that maybe either don't freeze well or maybe you shouldn't freeze together? Like, because I know with the meal prep, sometimes if I know something comes up and we're not going to be able to eat it, I want to throw it in the freezer so it doesn't go bad. So do you have any advice of things that you don't like to freeze together or that just don't thaw well once they're frozen?
No, again, I think that's just going to be a personal actually, you bring up a really good topic there. I think it's just going to be a matter of taste, so to speak, and what freezes well. I know our proteins freeze well, but also if you're using these containers, like say you have a meal, and we do this all the time, and that's a really good point that I should have hit upon, is that if you have extra food, make a meal so that when you don't have one, you can pull them out. But this three containers seems to do it best. But no, like I think when you're cooking fresh, I've never had a problem personally with anything not coming out good. Bill might be better to answer. Is there foods that you don't like frozen, Bill?
Yeah, well, a lot of it is we've had things where, like, if I've asked you, like, can we freeze this? Like, well, we freeze it and we try it. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't come out very well. I'll tell you, we make homemade mayonnaise, which is one of the best things I always have on hand because I can make all kinds of dips and sauces, and it's good. It's olive oil, it's not soybean oil, it's not crap that's in the jar. I tried to freeze a batch once. Does not work. Eggs, you can't freeze hard-boiled eggs, doesn't work.
But you could freeze an egg bake.
What's that?
You can freeze an egg bake, those like egg muffins, those
once you
freeze
cook,
really well.
Once you cook it, but like a hard-boiled egg, you can't. But who answered that? Who answered that or asked that question? Was it Jen?
Jen.
Yeah, just if you're wondering what might not freeze, just try it. If it doesn't work, it's only a couple bucks. It's not like you're freezing, Thanksgiving dinner and it's going to spoil. But typically fruit, and I'm surprised some fruits that you can buy like frozen berries and things, but certain fruits that are high in fiber, they don't freeze well because when they thaw, the fiber gets destroyed and it just gets all watery. So there's just certain things that are more fibrous are hard to freeze. But I mean, we freeze bread, we freeze any kind of protein. I've never had any issues with protein. Salads don't work. You can't, if you have a batch of lettuce, any kind of greens or cruciferous vegetables, they don't freeze really well after they're cooked.
Jen, I would say most of our proteins really freeze well. Sometimes we'll find for whatever reason, we haven't gone through as much and we'll just package it up individually so that you don't have to unfreeze a whole lot. And then the vegetables, I guess, are the ones that if they're too watery, like a zucchini, I don't think is going to freeze as well as a broccoli.
Yeah, and a lot of it's because of the fiber. It just breaks down when it's frozen.
Was there something specific that you thought didn't freeze well?
No, I just didn't know the way that we are sometimes. I can meal prep, but the next thing I know, this comes up or that comes up, or we've got to run here, run there. And then, I don't want the food to go bad, obviously. So it's like, all right, we'll throw it in the freezer and have it, later. I don't want it to go bad before, we have a chance to eat it. And so I just wasn't sure. Usually I end up throwing it out.
Yeah, no, I like these these kind of containers for it because it kind of still keeps it separate. So say you had your broccoli and your beef and one of them didn't come out, but the other one did, you haven't wasted everything.
Absolutely. And we do this a lot, Jen. We're at the end of the week or we're in the middle of the week. Like, I cooked too much of this. We're not going to get to it. I'll make a couple of meals in packages like that and just throw it in the freezer. Like Staci said, it's separated. It's very rare that I have something that comes out that it's bad. At least I'd rather try to freeze it and not waste it. And if it doesn't work, then so be it.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Staci, I had a question. I'm looking at the workbook and I'm looking at the nutrition facts. What would be like your go-to guideline? What am I I'll give you an example. I'm absolutely obsessed with can't remember who makes them, the almond thins. They're crackers. I can get the box if you want me to, but I know I go over my serving size every time because they're so good.
The Blue Diamond one? Blue Diamond almond?
Blue Diamond. Yep. Yeah, I love them.
For some reason, I want to say 12 crackers is your serving size.
Not mine.
You'll eat the box, right?
You know what? Here, wait, I'm going to grab.
But even like the nutritional value, like the dietary fiber and stuff like that, what should we be shooting for when we're looking at those labels? Because normally when I was zoning, when I was doing macros, I was just shopping the perimeter. I didn't eat the chips, the crackers, stuff like that. So I never looked at labels. I was really doing well just eating whole foods.
Yeah. So I would look at the serving size. So what the things that I would look at is like excessive sodium, how many, like those, I know, Bill, it's just not my thing. There's nothing wrong with them, but I would get like a little container, like a little dish and dish them out. And I know it's crazy to count 14 crackers, but do it. And then too, like sit down and enjoy it. And if you're going to have those crackers, think about, okay, so that's my carbohydrate, right? So I'm going to have a little bit of protein. I'm going to roll up some turkey with that, or have a hard-boiled egg with it, and then a little bit of fat with that too.
Where does hummus land?
Particular crackers are high in fat. Those are probably the almond crackers.
Yeah.
So
Oh, they're almond. Yeah, if you want to,
they're high fat, but they're a good fat. So
yeah, but so you would still add some protein to it. So it's carbohydrate protein.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, not protein. You want to add the protein in with that.
Okay. So where does hummus land?
Hummus is a carbohydrate, so it's made out of garbanzo beans.
Okay.
So that would be.
I love the hummus with those crackers.
Yeah, and I do believe there's some protein in there, but I kind of think of it as a carbohydrate.
Okay.
And again, the serving sizes kind of suck.
Okay.
But if they make the individual, like if you want to be spot on, and if you've zoned before, that those portions are important.
Right.
Get the prepackaged ones.
Yeah, I grab one of those when I'm traveling, like on a flight. They're perfect.
Yeah, but they're perfect for everyday use. I know they're a little bit more costly.
Yeah.
But in speaking of freezing, and I don't know if those freeze well, but those little guacamoles freeze well. They're the individual size, so those don't go bad. And now you have your hummus and your guacamole, but I would look at those are made out of chickpea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And these are things too for any of you who want more help. Those are like things that like I can really like, no pun intended, I can really zone in on your needs. And it doesn't, Jackie, you've done this before, so it doesn't have to be hard. It could just, we could work out for you what you're looking for.
Yeah, that was my other question. You mentioned the recipes that you have. Do those have the macro in layouts on them, the recipes? And
yeah, so those are the HSN. Those are not my recipes, the ones on our website. I have plenty of my own. Those are Healthy Steps Nutrition. That's who I've partnered with my nutrition program. And I will tell you, some of their recipes are not zoned. So if you like the zone, they're not all necessarily zone, but they're using simple ingredients. And I think that the macros are on there.
Okay.
But you want that balance of the protein, carb, and fat.
Yeah, Jackie, you've been in the CrossFit world for a long time, and way back when we were all big zone people.
Right.
Kind of obsessive about counting macros.
I'm not anymore.
We have backed away from that completely. It's just there's too many people that get too obsessed about numbers, and it's just looking at quality of food. And Staci loves the plate method. She works with that with all of her nutrition clients on that, and kind of on a personal basis. We don't count macros.
It worked for me when I was CrossFitting all the time, and the energy level just shot through.
It's a job, isn't it? I mean, it's a job.
Yeah.
The best way, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bill, but as Bill just said, the best way to not make yourself crazy is to think about the plate method. Okay, so the plate method, you have your plate. Half your plate is vegetables, a quarter of your plate. And this is what I said, like, these are nice because I eat more vegetables than that in my meal, but half your plate in vegetables. If you're thinking about protein, about the size of your palm, I don't know if you can see that, but or this deck of cards and then your starchy carbs is going to be a cupful. Like, so if you made your hands small, that's your rice, your quinoa, your potatoes, and then as much vegetables as you want. And then also you want to make sure you're getting your healthy fats. Oftentimes, if you've, like on your salad, if you're putting some olive oil and vinegar on there, you're going to get your healthy fats that way. But if you need to, a little bit of avocado, coconut oil, some almonds are all a good source of healthy fats. So don't be shy. You don't want to skip the fats. You just want to make sure they're the right ones. But if you don't want to count anything, just think about the plate method. That will get you where you need. And don't skip on your protein. Don't be shy.
So like you said, I'm sorry, can I ask one more question?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, I've been removed from the CrossFits and doing those kind of workouts. I've got my own little athlete here that keeps me busy. But so what is it now? What's the best method? Before, when I was doing all of this stuff, we were eating like 5 times a day, like 3 meals, two snacks. Is it still eating more often, or is it 3 times a day, or what's the best recommendation for healthy eating?
Yeah, so that's going to fall under what fits you.
Okay.
You know, because there's no prescription. Some people are going to tell you eat 6 meals a day, small meals a day. Some people are, you know, just can't for whatever reason. So it's really going to be very individualized on you and making
what your goals are.
And what your goals are, and
what you can stick with.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
Okay.
So I wouldn't tell you that there's one specific exactly, you know, 3 meals and a snack. It's really dependent on each person, their goals, how much activity they have. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, so Jackie, what I see with Staci, well, we're both certified nutrition coaches, but I don't do it. Staci does a lot. And what I see with her clients and what she does is that she's trying to figure out what's going to work for them. Some people like intermittent fasting. Some people like the zone. Some people don't. They want to keep simple. So she works with them to figure out what can we do to cut out the crappy stuff. Make sure you're getting enough of a good balance of the macronutrients, and it's something you're going to stay with. And it's really it's an individual thing. The old way of you fit into our zone, it just doesn't it doesn't work. If it did, then nobody would need a nutrition coach. She's really good at working. So you might want to contact her off the call.
We can do it. We can do a goal setting. Yeah.
Who else has a question? Sarah, looks like you have one. No? Okay.
Jackie, do you have another question? You're on mute.
No, I just saw your scan code.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if, you can, and you have my phone number. I'm happy to give you my phone number. Just call me and we can set it up. And the other thing too, like for those of you who have kids, get your kids in the kitchen. You know, have them make those meatloaf muffins. They're going to eat them. I mean, those are fun. You know, if you don't have kids and it doesn't matter, make it however you want, but get your kids involved, get them cutting their vegetables and portioning out their snacks. They're more likely to eat them. All right. Jen, you have any other questions? Nope. Odd? Sarah, Bob, Lynn?
I was going to ask about your favorite sweet, healthy snack, but I'm looking at the recipes page and I see a lot that I want to try.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Those Sam's protein balls are really good. And Odd, if you've been were you at the gym any of the past Saturdays? I have other healthy sweet recipes. I have an apple muffin that I make. Sarah, did you have any of my treats last week?
Yes, I had the muffin. It was amazing.
Yeah. So I
She
can
redeemed herself last week because the first week
everybody liked it. I just
pour maple syrup on top to make them taste okay. But last week was really good.
I'm making carrot cake this week.
Ooh.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, I have a really good. So those kinds of things I can get you some recipes. And again, you will be so surprised that there's pretty much the only sugar that's ever in my baking is honey or maple syrup. But I think there's like on that recipe page, there's a chocolate, there's under breakfast, it might be like a double fudge chocolate recipe, maybe like an overnight oats, like a chocolate overnight oats.
Maybe not in this, but so do I have to do CrossFit 23 if I come in to sample the carrot cake?
I'll give you a sample.
You can be a judge.
Yeah. It's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and when you're thinking about the baked goods, sometimes they have a lot of egg, which is going to be your protein, but most often they're going to be made with almond meal, which is fattening. So again, it's a good, but you still want to monitor how much you're eating. Like those little muffins, as good as they are, and I make them the little because I like to pop them in my mouth. But if you have 20 of them, you're still overeating, even though it's good. If you have 10 of them, you're still probably overeating, but not 4.
Staci, the recipe pages that everyone's talking about, are those available or is that a part of your program?
No, it's available. Just go to CrossFitCleveland.com /recipe.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And then too, I mean, some of you are in the gym and some of you aren't, but like, I'm happy to share my own personal recipes. Those recipes are not mine. And if you know, overnight oats, those are really good. And those would make a good snack on.
Oats are usually my breakfast. I do like a baked oat casserole type thing with dried blueberries.
Perfect.
And I love it.
Yeah. Add some protein into that.
We also have a lot of videos. We have what we call a Bill and Staci's Paleo Zone Kitchen series. We started that 10 years ago. We probably should have done more, but there are videos on the Facebook page, and if you just Google Bill and Staci's Paleo Kitchen, you'll find like our homemade mayonnaise recipe. Beef. We have Staci's got some really good videos there too on meals that we like that just get you started, and then just contact her and she'll send you more.
I got lots of good recipes. Chicken meatballs, those are my favorite. Here's an unsolicited tip. When you're making meatballs or meatloaf or burgers, take mushrooms, grind them up in a food processor so they're like pasty, and add that to your meat. It's going to add volume. You won't taste the mushrooms unless you're allergic to them, but people never know that they're there. And it's going to add volume to them. You can take some zucchini and cut it up, carrots and cut it up, and you're going to get some vegetables. It's going to be more filling and binding. What else? Nothing? Well, I appreciate all your time, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Happy to talk to you. And Jen, just so you know, most of our food on the boat, not all, but a lot of it is our food prep. We prep for the boat too. It's really not that hard.
Yeah, I need to do that more. I just have someone else who's not big on planning.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of planning and adjusting from the winter schedule to the summer schedule, because that is a difference. But we do it, and if you want help, I can help you.
Yeah, it does mess with our schedule in that we usually food prep on the weekends. In the summer, we're at the boat, so we'll do the food prep on Thursdays. But it is key. We always have good food choices, even when we go on vacations, driving vacations. We take food with us. Sometimes it goes bad. Sometimes we don't finish it, but at least we have it. Because the worst thing is just to be stuck with, choices on the run. And
yeah. Also, I mean, again, it doesn't like a good snack might be some turkey jerky, with some nuts, half an apple. So while we like most of our stuff to come out of the kitchen, there's plenty of things that you can do. Frozen vegetables. I was just looking at some frozen vegetables, because sometimes you should look at your ingredients. Sometimes they'll add stuff, but oftentimes they don't. And if you don't feel like cooking, get a rotisserie chicken, get some frozen vegetables, throw it in a pan, make some stir fry, whatever. Just eat it as it is. Cool.
Staci, is there one peanut butter that you would suggest? Because like you said, apples, sometimes at work for lunch, I'll just take an apple and peanut butter or banana and peanut butter, but I don't know what kind of peanut butter to use.
I like just to go to Heinen's or actually most of the grocery stores now, you can get just fresh ground.
And
So
just do that. 'Cause
yeah,
it's
if you read, like, my favorite Jif is not peanut butter at all. You know, like if you read the labels of some of those things, it's not what you think. But if you just get the actually ground, or if you like almond butter, hold on, I'll show you.
I've tried using almond butter, but
it doesn't taste the same.
Costco for $6 has this. It's an almond butter. I don't know if they're
Whose brand is it?
Kirkland.
Oh,
Costco.
Okay. Okay.
It's like $6 or $7 for this, and it's all natural. This is almond butter, but you know, that's all that's in it. But this is good. But if you like the peanut butter better, almond butter is going to be your best choice, but peanut butter, just go for that fresh ground.
Okay.
And look at the ingredients, like, but if you can get just the fresh ground, that's what I would go for.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Thanks,
Well,
everybody.
thank you all for joining in. I appreciate it. I hope that this gave you something to work with. Inspiration, if nothing else.
And if you have any questions afterwards or tomorrow, you wake up and go, oh, I wish I would have asked this. You've got all those text reminders, our main line. Just text a question back, and if you don't know Staci's message, that'll come right to her if you don't know her number.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Have a good night.
Carve out 2 hours of sometime this weekend, and you're gonna do your, if you haven't done it or if you haven't done it in a while, your first meal prep session for the week, and make it
And let me
fun.
know how it goes.
We'll be doing it.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
thanks, Steph.
Thank you.